Guys, good morning. Happy Sunday. It's Daryl here. It is 4 a.m. bright and early here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It's 4 a.m. by spring ahead time. I was up at 1 a.m. because I knew I was going to lose that hour between 2 and 3 a.m. I was up at 1 a.m. this morning, still doing it. I actually heard the cars come, people coming home from their night shifts. The traffic hadn't even died down, is what I'm trying to say, from Saturday evening when I woke up. People were still coming home from their Saturday night out when I got out of bed. Anyway, I was going through, you guys know my routine. I was going through all the news stories, newspapers, overnight news. There was no overnight news on Saturday nights, usually the weekdays that I go through that. But one of my favorite apps, Flipboard. No, I'm not getting any advertising dollars, but Flipboard, if you're out there, if the makers of the Flipboard app are out there, right here, I'm a big fan of your app. One of my favorite things about this app is it's got conservative view, liberal view. And it's amazing to me how, it'll go down to have like Newsmax, One America, Fox News on this side. It'll have CNBC, ABC, CNN on this side. And it's amazing to me. I like to get an overall, a better perspective. It's amazing to me, just a simple interview, how two different sides could have two different, completely different takes on just like a simple interview. So anyway, I'm going through the liberal side and I come across one of my favorites. It's usually got good stories. LGBTQ Nation. Okay, and the headline reads, MAGA life coach claims Barney Frank comes out of retirement to coach Joe Biden. This gets my attention. All right, Barney Frank, I know him because I'm from Connecticut. He was one of the first gay representatives, gay politicians, period, I think. Openly gay politicians in Massachusetts. So I remember him. I haven't heard that name in a long time. So that caught my attention. And so I go through the story. I look down and go through the story, and I was really disappointed. It wasn't even clever. It was just the LGBTQ Nation story was great. But the quotes from this guy, I'm going to get to him in a second. That's what this video is about. This guy, this MAGA man. I'm going to get to him in a second. And it wasn't even clever. It was low IQ, gutter level, homophobic, profanity laced nonsense. That's all it was. He's just extemporaneous, just talking off the top of his head. And he said, who was in Joe Biden's earpiece? He made fun of Joe Biden's lisp, or his stutter, his speech impediment. And he equated it to Barney Frank's lisp. And then he just went on to some deeply troubling homophobic nonsense about, I don't even want to repeat what he said about Barney Frank. He questioned if Barney Frank was alive or passed away. And he asked his wife to fact check. I can't imagine what that entails, I'm not going to repeat what he said. So it got my attention. And what really got my attention was MAGA life coach. What is it? What exactly is a MAGA life coach? As you guys know, I did good in school, never failed a class. I was one of the youngest people hired into my architectural firm. Got caught up in drugs. Cocaine, heroin, became a full-blown heroin junkie, a full-blown crackhead for over 2 decades. Been clean and sober for 14 and a half years. I work out. I'm up at 2, 3 a.m. working out. I work out 4 to 5 hours every day for the last 14 and a half years. So I kind of want to know what's a MAGA life coach all about? What's his what's his background? What's his routine? Looks like it's eating pizza and drinking beer and yelling on the internet, basically, is his routine. But let me get into that in a second. I wouldn't normally do something like this. When I first got on YouTube, I told you guys, I did some negative stuff. But there's a reason I'm talking about Brenden Dilley today. That's this guy's name. He ran for Congress. He ran for House of Representatives, Arizona's 8th congressional district. He lost a special election, lost the primary. I think he ran twice. I couldn't really make sense of what the article said. All right. And right off the bat, this scares me. It reminds me of Bobart, of Marjorie Green, whatever her name is, Madison Cawthorn. This new influx of politicians, and that's what struck me right off the bat. It's one of these people. All right, so I turn on his YouTube channel and I look over a couple of shows. And this guy just reminds me so much of people I knew in high school. I don't want to stereotype, but he's the stereotypical MAGA guy, family, friends, church, don't take away my guns. I could say and do whatever I want. We, meaning white men, take back the country and all this other stuff. Every other word. There's at least an F-bomb in every sentence. And as I listen to him just babble and rant and hum and just throw out nonsense and profanity, it's, I don't like doing negative stuff. The guy isn't very well educated, okay? And this is what worries me. He's talking about like the new Republican, these MAGA men, MAGA crowd. And he talks a little bit about Bush era politicians, the rhinos being, they're all done. And this is what troubles me. As I listen to this guy, I can tell he doesn't have much for a vocabulary. I was listening to, for example, his, he said he listened to the Joe Biden State of the Union address. And he said he put his bias aside because he could do that. He could take his MAGA hat off and give it a non-biased look. And he says, one of the first comments was that he thinks a 13-year-old girl wrote it. And I was like, wow, that sounds familiar, man. It's because I said that. I said that probably a dozen times about Trump's tweets. His tweets all resembled the rantings of a irate 13-year-old girl. We all know Trump's rants where his nicknames, Crooked Hillary, Creepy Joe, whatever, these juvenile nicknames. And I every time I looked at Trump's tweets, I seriously, I couldn't believe it was a man in his 70s, supposedly wealthy, successful man in his 70s writing this nonsense. And I often said it was like a pre-teenage girl, or somebody, a young person. And there wasn't much else. There wasn't much intelligent. And this is why I'm making this video. This guy actually ran for Congress, and he's a life coach. Let me tell you this, man. I wouldn't take any life coaching from a short, overweight guy who speaks in profanity and nothing more than, two-syllable words. I think back to, I see a lot of mementos from World War I, World War II, the Civil War. I've seen letters where soldiers wrote back, people from the 1800s, Edgar Allan Poe. And it's amazing to me how it seems like our vocabulary and our education has decreased, especially in the last 30, 40 years. This guy reminds me of the guys I went to high school with, the guys that would sit, the loud mouths that would sit in the back of the class that always had a comment. I was a quiet guy in high school. I was one of the biggest guys. But I was quiet. I was a target for these guys a lot of times. And he reminds me of that. He reminds me of the guy that would fall asleep in the back of the class, the guy that would always claim that he never read a book in his life, that would always come running and asking for answers to the homework and all that stuff. Exactly who this guy reminds me of. Let's just say this. I wouldn't take advice from any guy that has man boobs. This is just what worries me. These are the people that are running for politician for Congress on this platform of anger and entitlement, victimhood, the whole MAGA platform, with no substance behind it, no education, no knowledge of history or anything. So in this article, the LGBTQ article, he doesn't even know if Barney Frank is alive or dead. He doesn't even know what he's talking about, who he's talking about. And this guy ran for Congress. And it just reminds me of these other people that actually made it into Congress. Madison Cawthorn, Bobart, and the others. And this is the new wave of This is the new Republican Party. This guy, what's his name again? Brenden Dilley, lost, thankfully, but he appeals to somebody out there. The angry, uneducated person who always looks at everybody else and thinks everybody else is getting more than they deserve. The people that always claim victimhood. All right, so that's all I want to say for today. I want to ask Brenden Dilley, if you're watching this, I just want to say one thing to you. You got a mighty pretty mouth.